Hi, welcome to Squash and Coriander, the hip new Brighton-based podcast about all things food. I'm your host, Elle. Thank you Buzz Radio for hosting. We have a really exciting bit of insight prepared for you guys listening today. We're going to dig deep and see what's hip and what's trendy with the green and ethical consumer, as well as what is potentially influencing these consumers to act the way they do. We will even have some guest speakers giving us a slice of their opinion. Those are just a few things we will be going over, so I better get started. Right, so first of all, it's pretty obvious that people are more aware of climate change and the environment than ever before. The ethical and sustainable industry is booming, and more cities all over the world are declaring themselves as vegan friendly. A completely mirrored image to what the world looked like 20 years ago, where fair trade products had just started making their way to shelves and vegans were associated with the hippie culture. So, what has changed? Well, the biggest change has been the internet, which has made information about pretty much everything readily available to anyone with a computer. Information about industrial farming, information about issues from around the world, information on what your peers are doing on a daily basis. People know so much more than they did back pre-internet. People have become more conscious. Industrial scale farming is bad, and we all know it. Documentaries such as Cowspiracy, Food Inc. and Eating Animals, amongst other things, have contributed to our knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes. These have been shared all over social media and have started conversations, and the people having these conversations, the people with common beliefs, have become vegan food tribes. Kova and Kova describe these as heterogeneous consumers with different demographic features who are capable of collective action and act as advocates for their causes. These food tribes play a primary role in maintaining the vegan lifestyle. This leads to the question, if people know that eating meat is bad, then why do they still do it? There's this little thing called cognitive dissonance, which has been described as the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitude, especially as relating to behavioural decisions and attitude change. So people that are aware of what is happening to animals, but like the simplicity of a diet with meat, tend to go one way or the other. They either reduce dissonance, for example, by scrolling past that heavy-hitting video of a cute little lamb being sent to the shop, or they decide to stop eating meat altogether to save the lamb. At this point in the podcast, let's introduce our first guest, a good friend of mine who favours a meat-based diet.
Hello.
Right, so my first question for you is, what are your beliefs when it comes to food?
My beliefs when it comes to food, I believe that we should have a balanced omnivorous diet, so plenty of meat, plenty of veg, plenty of everything else, and produce as little waste as possible from that.
Okay. Would you consider moving to a plant-based diet? If not, what is stopping you?
I wouldn't move to a fully plant-based diet, but I do recognise I probably eat far too much meat, so I'd happily move to a more heavily plant-based diet. I think one of the main things stopping that is just how much I actually enjoy eating meat, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
No worries. Speak soon. Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, that was Aaron. All right, on with the podcast. The number of vegans in the UK who shun all animal products, including dairy and eggs, has grown fourfold in the past 4 years, from 150,000 to 600,000, according to the Vegan Society. 1 in 8 Britons are now vegetarian or vegan, and this is only going to continue rising as our population ages. According to research, a majority of people living a vegan lifestyle are in the 24 to 35 age group. An astonishing 70% of vegans are female. A 2016 UK survey, also by the Vegan Society, found veganism was significantly more popular in urban areas rather than rural places. This is because the demand for more ethical alternatives has created a boom in vegan eateries in bigger cities. This has then also increased the number of vegans living in the cities, as there are more vegan alternatives that make leading a plant-based diet easy. This has also reduced the cost of a vegan lifestyle. Next up, we have a very special guest from Brighton, vegan activist who has a very complicated name, so we like to call him P. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello, P. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm all good. I'm happy to have a little chat.
Yay, fantastic. So are we. Right, I'm just going to get going because we're a bit limited on time. But first of all, let's start off with what influenced you to become vegan and why is it important to you?
Well, it was my girlfriend at the time that told me she was going to show me 2 videos that will change my life forever. And it was watching the Earthlings documentary and Gary Yourofsky's speech called The Best Speech You Will Ever Hear on YouTube. And I went vegan the next day. And why is it important to me? Well, first of all, the animals are treated unfairly. So it's not necessary to use them in the way we do. The planet is dying, and animal agriculture is the leading cause for greenhouse gases. People are dying of illnesses and suffering mentally due to the meat and dairy industries, and I don't really like any of that. So that's why it's important to me, I guess.
Are you part of any vegan groups or communities?
Yeah, like there's loads of stuff on Facebook where you can find anything from like support for activists all the way to something like rate my vegan food.
Why do you think that people don't go vegan?
I think it's important to remember that we are brought up in a very carnist world where using animals is very normal. So we're surrounded by the media, adverts, traditions, and our ancestors used animals in the way that we do now. So it's very hard to do like a 180-degree turn from your beliefs and question everything.
Do you think this trend will continue?
Yeah, I think there is no doubt about it. I mean, the truth behind the cruelty towards animals, the truth behind the lies of the industry that drive the sales forward, and the increasing accessibility of veganism, I think, as well as the necessity for plant-based living due to the climate crisis that we're going through right now. I think veganism is just going to grow exponentially, and we are seeing that right now. More and more you're seeing supermarkets putting out vegan things, and vegan stuff is getting put on the news, and the recent XR climate crisis protests as well. So the world is changing, and I think it's changing for the better, and I do think it will grow. In an ideal world, I think people would just be a lot more conscious of what impact each decision they make would have. And, I would love to see self-sustainability with more and more people growing their own food and cooking plant-based.
That's all we've got time for, but thank you so much for joining in.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's always good.
In 2017, Business Insider wrote about the types of ethical consumer. The most relevant to us today are the positive choosers. These are highly aware of the issues and feel concerned and guilty about their lifestyle. They want to live ethically. I associate this category with flexitarians, which are people that primarily have a vegetarian diet but occasionally eat meat or fish. The principled pioneers, these are the most committed positive choosers and tend to be vegetarian or quietly vegan. And the vocal activists, P definitely falls into this category. These are the concerned, aware and active positive choosers. They vocalize their discontent with unethical brands and non-vegan lifestyles and use facts to back their statements up. The vegan activists are providing the information that positive choosers need to become principled pioneers and sometimes become vocal activists themselves. One of the most essential elements in this equation is word of mouth. Us Homo sapiens do love to socialize. The classic joke is, how do you know if someone is vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Part of the reason that vegans do talk about being vegan is that in a vegan's ideal world, slaughter and unnecessary pain would no longer exist. And when you know that there is a much more compassionate alternative, it's hard not to mention it once or twice. They also very much encourage questions. So, what opportunities are there for vegans? Hasn't it all been done already? The answer is no. Think about your high street. If you're on a lunch break from work and perhaps you're testing the water out, how many places offer vegan fast food, for example, compared to standard fast food? Perhaps you don't have time every day to prepare your lunch, even though numbers show that there are more vegan eateries than ever before. There is still a gap in the market. Restaurants like Leon are leading the way in that department. However, the consumers that are most conscious and want to make more ethical decisions tend to be younger. And guess what? They don't have the economic capacity to buy a very small box of falafels for £8. We need to continue having these conversations to make the blissfully unaware aware and explain that with this lifestyle, you are not limiting what you can consume. You're opening the doors to a new and exciting world of food and cooking. And for businesses, I would consider looking into getting involved with veganism if you're not already. This trend is only getting bigger. That's the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much to all of our guest speakers, Buzz Radio, you lovely listeners, and my lovely assistant, Jasmine. We'll be back in the future with more food-related chomps. All right, thanks.